We'll call it a case of tortured logic that's making very little sense. Liberals in a rush to release the CIA's torture report. Not so much of a rush, any of those Jonathan Gruber videos. Never mind the CIA thing could endanger lives. That Gruber stuff, well, it endangers them. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and Fox on top of hypocrisy that appears over the top. Because here's the thing about pushing transparency, folks. You have to be, like, transparent about everything. Not just the stuff that you hope embarrasses the last administration, but, yep, the stuff that embarrasses this administration. To Ben Stein, Charles Payne, Dagan McDowell, along with Adam Lashinsky and Charlie Gasparino. All right, Charles Payne, I say it's time for a little rectal feeding for these guys. Can I say that? I just did.
We're going right there.
I just did.
Yeah, I appreciate that imagery in my head all weekend long.
Anything I can
it's going to help my diet, though.
I did not even know that was part of the torture venue. But
neither did I.
But I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah, it's Spanish Inquisition, right? Listen, we've seen this from day one with this administration. No matter what is really important to the American public, if, to your point, there's even a smidgen, if I may borrow that word, of embarrassment for the administration, there's no urgency, or we never get to the answers. Even when they bring these guys in, they're arrogant, they're pompous, and someone on the panel, usually Elijah Cummings, is blocking and tackling for them. Even this weekend with Gruber, he called Gruber stupid and then tried to associate him with Romney. I mean, it's just ridiculous. We haven't gotten any answers on anything.
Why do you go after the African-American guys?
Well, it's just because he spoke first.
Okay, gotcha. Gaspa, what do you think?
I like the fact that they call Gruber PhD. Did you see that? Piled higher and deeper. But listen, the torture stuff. I'm not a devotee of torture, so to speak.
Go, please.
Rectal feeding.
You don't have to be a panelist on a show with you.
Yes, that's true.
Listening
like
to you talk,
yes,
calls to mind.
But
yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Thank you, Adam.
But the torture stuff did happen 10 years ago. I don't know, 5 years ago. The healthcare debacle is happening now, and it's affecting every single American in a very bad way. And it's sort of a crime that the administration is putting the clamps on it and making us learn about this stuff, which, there's a debate whether torture worked and whether it saved lives and whether it's really torture. I don't know. How bad could rectal feeding be?
Stop. I just mentioned it just to sort of set this up, but
yeah, you didn't know.
It's your fault, Neil.
Dagan, the one thing I bring to it, it's if you got to be consistent on transparency, right? So when it comes to this, and you can make huge distinctions between the two, but I'm just saying that this is now and current and real, this healthcare debacle and all the lies that were perpetrated to get it sold. So I think the American people do have a right to at least go back and revisit how that all unfolded, to say nothing of the Supreme Court.
They have a right, but being a hypocrite is a requirement for being a politician. And this is not a partisan problem. It goes both ways.
Absolutely.
Republicans want to cut spending unless it's for earmarks that go to their district that help
True
them
enough.
get
So in a
reelected.
sense, we are all rectal feeders.
It's why the American people... Really?
I'm sorry.
How many times are you going to say
I'm just fascinated that was a torture
enemas
method.
get you really drunk quick.
It does,
by
really.
the way, yes.
There's something called an alcohol enema.
Yes.
Ben Stein, maybe you can elevate the conversation for us here?
Well, I will tell you, as a person who has had colitis a lot, that rectal feeding is not a myth. Anyway, both things have a certain thing in common, which is contempt for the American people. Contempt in the sense that Senator Feinstein doesn't mind humiliating and embarrassing America all across the world. In fact, she's eager to do it. And contempt for the taxpayers and voters, and saying, we fooled you, you're stupid, and we fooled you, and we got this bill through, and it was full of lies. Contempt for the American people. That's the common thread.
Adam?
Well, first of all, Neil, at the outset you mentioned that there was this rush by the Senate Democrats to release this report. It wasn't a rush, as you point out. This is something that they've been studying for a long time. It's a very important topic.
Did you find the timing odd?
With regard to what? I mean, you mean because
Gruber
of
was testifying the same day as this, and they said, I got an idea, guys. Why don't we hold both hearings concurrently?
Well, the point I'd like to make is that on the one hand we have this extremely important topic of the torture tactics that we use. That's a very important national debate. And on the other hand we have this academic who was an advisor on Obamacare.
Well, I would say
making
he
comments.
said that he was an author.
Charlie.
We have video now in 2010 that said he was an author.
Oh, okay.
You know,
okay,
one
but
thing I will
he's
say-
Let him finish.
Hold on, just let me finish. He's an academic advisor, an author, making comments in an academic setting. So should we have transparency? Absolutely. I just don't think there's any comparing these
Listen,
two.
Gruber is never going to compete with rectal feeding on the headline scale. It's just never going to compete.
No, I don't know about that. I know if we're going into the rectal area.
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
Feeding is just cousin.
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't get what Adam is talking about. Yeah, we can all have opinions and debate CIA interrogation methods. It impacts none of us physically, directly, economically. This debacle with Obamacare impacts every American. No, I didn't. How can you compare? Not compare the CIA interrogation tactics from 9 years ago to the Obamacare sham that was force-fed on us, lied about, and will bankrupt the country. You don't think that's as important? And this was on the key architects, one of the key guys who helped pull the fleece over our eyes.
I want to answer you. On health care, of course, it's critically important. It's an important policy topic. We should debate it. The former Charles gets to the issue of who we are as a country. It gets to the very basis of our understanding of civil liberties.
I might point out to people that what preceded a lot of this were some not so nice guys ramming planes into buildings, and now a group of guys who are going around beheading Americans. So leaving that aside, the idea that we hide stuff, and then we try to reframe stuff.
Well, the interrogation report hides stuff. It hides the context in which this was going on when we thought or knew that there was a second attack being planned, when there were reports of nuclear weapons being brought into New York City. There's so many things wrong with that report.
Forget that history. They forget what was going on.
They left it out of the Senate Intelligence Committee report. That what they left out was talking to anybody with direct responsibility or planning for the interrogation tactics. I want to say this, though. Congressional approval rating roughly 13%, which is much higher than it has been, and that's why it's about jawboning, it's about placing blame, it's about theatrics, but not doing anything good for this country.
And they also left out, through what these enhanced interrogation tactics, some people call it torture, did. I mean, we found people that did bad stuff for us. We stopped terrorist plots. I think they went out of their way, if you read the report, to downplay all that. And I haven't read the whole report, but if you read it,
I read every page.
They take direct issue with your point. They take direct issue with that point.
What's that?
Yeah,
they take direct issue with your point. They
did.
say that they would have had they had the information anyway. That's their specific point. That's why we're talking about
just giving
it.
It up freely.
That's what the Democrats say, Adam. That's what the Democrats on the committee say.
Right.
That's what the Democrats on the committee say. The
understand.
Republicans say that they would have, they got it through these enhanced interrogation methods. And I think Dagan's made the key point. These guys were terrorists. These weren't soldiers in uniform. Terrorists.
All right, bottom line, if you're going to be for releasing information in the name of just being transparent and open, then you might as well open up everything here. But you can't pick and choose this stuff the way it seems to be done with this, especially when it comes to health care law that's getting pricier by the second.